So I think we're gonna start right now. Hope you can hear me well. I hope you can see my presentation. If not, just please let me know. My name is Ana Muñoz. I'm in Colombia right now. I live in Bogota, it's the capital. And today I want to share with you my presentation, which is called The Power of Communities. But before I start, let me see how this is working. Okay, before I start, I want to know how you're feeling today. So I want to share these icons with you. So you probably can let me know how you're feeling with this Women Tech Conference, plus COVID, plus virtual worlds, plus quarantine. You're feeling inspired? Curious? Beata? Adaku's feeling inspired? Anna is feeling mind blown, of course. Anna. Okay, cool. Well, thank you for sharing how you're feeling today. Okay, let's keep moving then. Less overwhelmed than last week. I know, it's pretty overwhelming. Okay, so let's keep working. So today I want to share with you something I realized during this quarantine process. It's a formula I figured out to work pretty interesting, which is the 3 C's. So it's creators, community, and crisis. And let's start with the creators. And to begin this, I want to tell you a personal story. And this whole story started when I learned the concept maker. And I was wondering what a maker was when I was living in San Francisco. I spent 4 years of my life living in this beautiful city that is a life-changing city, actually. When I first heard about this concept, a friend of mine told me there was a pretty rad fair happening in San Mateo called the Maker Fair. So I decided to volunteer with a tech toy company called Little Bits. Many of you have heard about Little Bits, which is a very interesting toy to learn about electronics. So I joined the volunteer team at Little Bits. And when I had some free time, I used to go around the fair. The way they describe the Maker Fair is the greatest show and tell on earth. Maker Fair is a fascinating place to be. Maker Fair celebrates creativity, celebrates the DIY movement or the do-it-yourself movement with all kinds of people that go from like very tech people to very handmade projects and people that work in these kind of projects. While I was there, I was very impacted by all the things I saw. This is actually an image from Maker Fair. This is a mechanical octopus that actually poofs fire according to the rhythm of the music. You can see all kinds of things, electronics, robotics, 3D printing, and all kinds of people come here to celebrate their own creativity and to learn new things. When I finished Maker Fair, I was completely changed. I wanted to do something different. This is a very meaningful picture. It's very impactful. This is Obama. During his administration, he actually opened the houses of the White House to host a Maker Fair. He invited all the local public schools to actually showcase their projects. And he proclaimed the 18th of June the National Maker Day. This is the first time in my life I actually saw a 3D printer. Noisebridge is one of the oldest hacker spaces in San Francisco. It was 2013 when I decided to visit this place. This is very vintage kind of style 3D printers, but they were very interesting. I met really amazing people. And for those of you who are not familiar with hacker spaces are places where you can go to build projects and learn new things, especially programming and software. Just so you know, this is a very interesting tip that it really blew my mind. But according to Fortune Business Insights, the 3D printing industry is going to be worth almost $52 billion in 2026. To keep going on my maker career, I want to tell you that I started a soldering and electronics class at Tech Shop. Tech Shop used to be one of the largest and coolest maker spaces on earth. Unfortunately, it's closed now. This is my first circuit, actually, the first time I soldered something, and my first circuit that actually lighted for 3 seconds and it broke afterwards. But that was my beginnings as a maker. I eventually came back to Colombia and started my own space. I had my own 3D printer as well, and I started playing with it. Got involved with arts and crafts, ceramics, digital fabrication, laser cutting machines. This is actually my first project that I created with a laser cutting machine in a Colombian local cake. And I engraved Hola Mundo, which is basically hello world. And I actually tried to taste it, but it was kind of burned. And through all this path, I actually got really, really in love with tech toys, because through tech toys and Little Bits and all these cool tech toys and brands that are everywhere now, I got in love with technology, and that's how I got involved in the maker movement. And as a responsibility, I thought it was something I had to share. So I started sharing everything I knew with people, especially with little kids. And I actually became a toy maker. This is my brand. I've been developing my brand of toys, educational toys, for the past 3 years. And that's how I got involved with this whole maker movement that I hope you can get involved with it too. I want to share with you what's the maker mindset, because you might be wondering, okay, but how does a maker think? And of course, the core of the maker movement is the DIY, or the do-it-yourself. This is the main principle. No matter what, find the tools, find the people, get the knowledge in order to be able to make your own projects and solve your own problems. It's very important to share information, share your knowledge in order to co-create and become even greater. As makers, we keep learning all the time. We're curious, we share with each other, we learn from each other, we learn online, we learn offline, but it's very important to keep an active mind. And participate. Participating in the maker movement is super important. Whether it's an online webinar, a fair, a meetup, it's very important, because these are the spaces where you can actually connect, share, meet with people, and start learning from different projects. As a movement, like every movement, we need support. And I'm not talking about just technical support. The maker movement needs intellectual support, of course, but it needs emotional support, and it needs institutional support and political support. This is a quote I really want to share with you. It's from Mark Hatch. Mark Hatch used to be the CEO at Tech Shop, this great makerspace I told you about, and it reads the following: There is something unique about making physical things. These things are like little pieces of us, and it seems to embody portions of our souls. That's why making is so gratifying. It is so gratifying because every time you make something, you make an object, even you make a recipe, you're putting a little part of yourself on it. And it feels so good. Some of the interests that makers have as a community, as a person. Initially, it was all like very techy, very software, very untouchable. Makers are very interested in programming, in apps, and software development, in technology, 3D printing, computer-assisted manufacturing, computer-assisted design, vehicles, and with vehicles, we can talk about bikes, rockets, drones, submarines, but also about more artisanal stuff like arts and crafts, such as papercraft, painting, jewelry, woodworking, metalworking, and basically anything. And makers is just basically a curious person. Probably when you're saying this, you're considering yourself a maker. So that's what creators are, and especially the makers community. It's very focused on the DIY and how we can learn how to do our own projects. Let's move on. Let's move on to communities. And let's learn how these creators or these makers get together in communities in order to have a greater impact. And for this, I want to tell you the story about Makers Colombia. And it all started as an experiment. When I came back from San Francisco, I decided to host the first Makers Meetup. I partnered with a local co-working space who actually lent me the space for free. And I just wanted to know if people knew about this term, if people knew about what a maker meant. And I thought like 4 or 5 people were going to show up, but to my luck, there were 60 or 70 people at that meetup that day. All the people you see on the back of the picture are people that actually are very, very knowledgeable people in 3D printing. So that was our first meetup some years ago. And I was very excited, but that might be because I gave them free beer. So that might be a great motivation to attend an event. But actually, I got really excited and very inspired when I see the numbers right now. Because right now, the makers community, it's about 4,000 people that share information, share knowledge, share contacts online. Makers Colombia also had caught the attention from different local companies and international companies like Intel, like Bosch, the tool manufacturer in Germany. And this is Jorge Reynolds. Some of you might know him. He's a very important scientist in Colombia who actually has been doing some like decades of work in the heart. And this is a picture I took with him when he helped us give a talk about how research works in Colombia. We 3D printed a heart for him to thank him about his participation in our meetup. Let's talk about the goals. Communities obviously have goals. We don't only have a community just because of the heck of it. We actually have goals, and every community has a goal. And our goal as a community, our main purpose is to make it happen, make things happen, make projects happen. We have the same interests. We share the same interests, which is collaborate, keep learning, keep doing it. We share resources, whether they're online or offline, but we share our tools. And I want to stop here for a minute because this is one of the most important parts of the talk, and we share meaning. It is very important to understand that communities share meaning. What you see in this slide is basically the open source hardware icon. Why is it so important? Because the open source hardware and software and open source information is key for makers, because that's the way we think we can democratize information. That's the way we think we can democratize knowledge. And that way everyone can have access to be educated and to be a maker and to keep learning. All communities design for collaboration, whether we see it or not. We design, communities designed for collaboration to connect, to learn. In our case, in Makers Colombia, we connect to learn, but not only about technical stuff. In a community, you learn a lot of principles and human values. You learn how to work in teams. You learn how to appreciate the difference, and you learn how different people actually make projects even more rich. We come together in communities to share what we know, not to hide it, to help each other, to co-create knowledge with all the different disciplines that join the community, and in many cases, to improve life conditions. Sorry. And in the Makers Colombia, there's something about that, because we come together to make, of course, to improve life conditions, because it helps us connect and keep each other together. But at the same time, we just come together because we want to make, just because of it, the heck of it. We like to come together and make. Sorry, I was just looking at the chat. Behind all these communities, especially the makers community, there's the community designers. And community designers or community architects are these people that are just behind the scenes, backstage, just pulling the strings, making all these invisible, meaningful connections between all the makers and all the people that are participating in these online and virtual worlds. They make sure, and we make sure, that we have all kinds of people. that there's inclusion, that there's difference, because we know that the more different we are, the richer the community is. And also, as community designers and community architects, we like to give visibility. We like to highlight projects. We like to highlight makers. We like to give them a voice. And of course, we promote social juice. And by social juice, I mean all these cooperative gestures in order to keep growing the support that we've been talking about. And this social juice can be a favorite, a like, a retweet, a share, but this is very important aspect of a social online community. And let me be clear, a community manager or a community designer or architect, it is not someone that actually is not the CEO of the community. A community designer is more laid back. It's more laid back, but it's pulling the strings in a very laid back way. That's why we say online communities are loosely coordinated, because they're decentralized, there are not hierarchies. So basically what's happening is happening because all the members collaborate, and there's some things happening that actually they're not that visible, and it's more of a decentralized coordination. Finally, let's get to the crisis, and let's see how creators get inside these communities and how they react to this crisis. We all know that COVID-19 hasn't been easier for any of us, and especially for our health professionals. We've seen massive shortfalls in personal protective elements. And let's say with PPEs, personal protective elements. This is a very hard word in English for me, so let's stick with PPEs. There's been a crucial demand in Colombia. We've been having our doctors protesting because they don't have enough PPEs to protect themselves. Not only in Colombia, but in the United States and Europe, Asia, everywhere in the world. According to a USA Today report, the manufacturing timeline is around 3 months from the moment the manufacturer ships it in a boat and it arrives to America, because most of these PPEs come from Asia. So 3 months is a long time. So we don't have a fast and a quick response from the manufacturing industry in order to get PPE for our doctors on time. In Colombia, the Colombian Medical Federation says that 85% of the health professionals did not receive any PPE. The good news is that communities are developing this wonderful humanity and this great community spirit, and they're putting together their creativity, their skills to protect our health professionals. Online communities now are shaping the world by getting together and impacting on this during this crisis. How did Makers Colombia did it, and how are we still doing it? It's basically a decentralized network that is connected through online platforms, and we keep talking and sharing information to be able to build PPEs for doctors. These are the communities in Colombia. There's 3 main communities called Makers Colombia, Enlace DACO, and Makers COVID Colombia. How did it all started? It all started with a group in Telegram and some groups in WhatsApp. Everything started getting together in these online groups, and 1 week later, after it all started, we were around 700 makers sharing, collaborating online. This was our main purpose: to fabricate and to donate medical equipment on the fly with all the tools we had available. In this case, we had laser cutters and especially 3D printers. This was the main tool for makers worldwide to start helping doctors by building and delivering PPEs, especially face shields. If you're wondering how distributed manufacturing looks like, this is how it looks like: decentralized manufacturing. Everyone in their house has their own little manufacturing center. This is actually my house. My dog is over there. We were doing everything. We were designing, we were 3D printing, we were packaging, we were delivering, and of course, we were taking care of doctors with all what was needed. We were building Prusa face shields, and when I'm telling you about the open source information, this is actually very important. This is key because Prusa, it's a company that actually open sourced their files in order for everyone in the world to be able to make these face shields on a 3D printer. I actually have one of the face shields here. It's basically, as you can see, it has like a transparent thing where doctors can see. I just wear it like this. And these are the 3D printed parts. So this is what we were making for doctors, right? Thanks to Prusa, who actually open sourced their files. And we all had a disinfection process because, you know, you never know if you are infected or not. So thanks to a network of professionals that are involved with health and, you know, disinfection protocols, we created a protocol to you know, make these PPEs safe. The protocols are online in our website on makerscolombia.org, and you can download them there. Makers nationwide created hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of face shields. And we estimate that we actually donated more than 15,000 face shields nationwide. These are some of the donations we made. But 3D printers not only help us to build face shields. Here are some elements we actually built, some other PPE, well, not PPEs, but elements like ear savers, because they were like having some behind the ears pain with wearing all these face masks the entire day. You can 3D print these ear savers, or you can actually laser cut them. Door openers, obviously, to avoid contact and have touchless experiences. And face masks. It was not only about 3D printing. We also had people with sewing machines, and there were free patterns, sewing patterns, to be able to make these face masks. This is a website where makers can actually log in and, you know, see how many donations they've made. It's called Open Source Medical Supplies, and it's estimated, I believe it's more, but it's estimated that more than 12 million PPEs have been donating worldwide thanks to open source files. So this is what it is all about a creative destruction. We're in a period of total uncertainty, ambiguity. It's a very strange feeling. But what is very important is that actually crisis can change you. It completely changes you. But what we've been doing as a community is to actually take this creative destruction as an opportunity to create, as a white canvas, to start from zero and to help people that actually need it. And that's why I believe this is a formula that we've seen in many crises before in the world. Crisis, community, and creators. This is a formula that actually increases our sense of togetherness, of solidarity, and it actually challenges our creativity to work for a common cause and actually solve the problem, the world's problems. I'm gonna be open for questions if you have some. I invite you to connect. We have our community in Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter as Makers Colombia. This is my Twitter account, my LinkedIn account, and my email. If you wanna shoot me an email, I'm happy to answer your questions and to keep sharing with you after this conference. Is there any question over there? Yes, makerscolombia.org. I like that. Thank you all. GB Martinez, yes, let's connect, definitely. Karen, thank you so much. Paula, thanks to you. How can we make a citizen a maker? Great question. I mean, I think there's the government actually in Colombia, or the citizen, the mayor, it's actually creating these spaces where people can actually go make and get involved with these initiatives. I think the first thing you need to do to become a maker is to be curious. And once you're curious, you start getting into so many things, from ceramics to 3D printing. So we need to find ways in our cities to encourage people to attend these events, to keep connecting, to keep sharing, and to keep learning from each other. Anna, thanks to you. Thank you for inviting me to this wonderful event you've put together. Thank you, Karen. Thank you. Yes, Colombian Power. Thank you, Diego. Thank you. Gabriela, thank you so much. It shows that we have the power to make the difference. Definitely, we have the power to make a difference. I saw that the women with sewing machine were in fact a network. Yes, they get together to start like a production network. Mercedes Muñoz, thank you to you. Camilo Vargas, thank you. I can't really see the time here, so I don't know how much more time I have, but I think there's no more questions. Please join the community if you're interested. Start your own community. Encourage other people to keep, making and sharing. Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Big hug for everyone, and I'll see you the next time. Making and sharing.